The county ground in Swindon on this Boxing Day afternoon for this second division fixture between Swindon Town and Blackburn Rovers. It's a game which means a lot to both sides. They're currently on the playoff fringe. There is the Swindon Town mascot for the afternoon. He's Nicholas Ford from Deerleap Way in Bashley. He attends the Ashley Junior School and his team is the Bashley Robins Football Club. His favourite team, of course, Swindon Town, and his favourite player, Steve Foley. So it's a big day for him as he tries his luck against the Swindon Town keeper, Fraser Digby, and warming up with him is the Swindon substitute John Cormore. Nice ground shot there, but not quite good enough to beat the England under-21 keeper. There's David Kerslake, Swindon's recent signing from Queen's Park Rangers. As visitors, Blackburn Rovers take the field on this sunny Boxing Day afternoon, and not a very big crowd, it has to be said, for the post-Christmas fixture, which traditionally brings a large crowd to the county ground to watch Swindon Town in action. There's Alan McLaughlin, who's had a wonderful 1989. He'll obviously hope that 1990 will continue in much the same vein and possibly see him make an appearance in the World Cup finals for the Republic of Ireland. We shall wait to see if that is what will happen. Fullback Paul Bodin, another player who's done remarkably well. There is a Republic of Ireland international. That's Frank Stapleton, who recently joined Blackburn Rovers. A glittering career, of course, with Manchester United and Arsenal, one of the great strikers of the 1970s and 1980s, and he's bound to want to make an impression in this Boxing Day game between Swindon and Blackburn Rovers. And there's Scott Sellers, who many are talking about as an international player, has wonderful skills on the left-hand side of the field as a winger, and provides much of the ammunition for the Blackburn Rovers strike force led by Simon Garner, that very impressive number 10 for Blackburn this afternoon. There's the ceremonies at the start of the game. The Blackburn Rovers mascot, his name is Sam Carter. He's 9 years of age. He's from the Griffin Park School in Blackburn. His favourite player is Terry Gunno, and his hobbies are watching Rovers, computer games, reading and judo. So there we are. That's all about the respective mascots for this afternoon's game between Swindon Town and Blackburn Rovers. The photographs taken, customary photographs for the beginning of the game, as I'll give you the two sides. In goal for Swindon, Fraser Digby. At 2, it's David Kerslake. 3 is Paul Bodin. 4, Alan McLaughlin, as the two mascots lead the field side by side. Number 5, Colin Calderwood. 6 is John Gittins. 7, Tom Jones. 8, Duncan Shearer. 9 is Steve White. 10, Ross McLaren. 11, Steve Foley, and the substitutes John Cormore and Dave Hockaday, who makes a return to the squad following a fractured cheekbone injury. Blackburn Rovers, they line up like this. In goal, Darren Collier. 2 is Neil Oliver. 3, Chris Sully. 4 is Nicky Reid. 5, Keith Hill. 6 is David Mayall. 7, Alan D. Kennedy. 8 is John Miller. 9, Frank Stapleton. 10, Simon Garner. 11, Scott Sellers. And their substitutes Howard Gale and Alan Irvine. The referee is Mr. D. Hutchinson from Oxford, and the linesman Mr. R.J. Harris and Mr. D. Pike. That's the way the teams line up. And the action already underway. Swindon with a throw then near side through Paul Bodin, who finds Steve White. Back to Bodin. And as you can see, the surface very wet. We've had an awful lot of rain in Wiltshire before Christmas, and groundsman Jeff Warren has done a great job in getting the pitch into a match-worthy condition. And perhaps they would have expected a larger crowd that's turned up here today, but we shall see what sort of a game's on offer. And that's a great ball from McLaren, looking for Steve White, and a combination of the pitch, the keeper and the defender robs Steve White of a great early opportunity from a superb through ball from Ross McLaren. The best opportunity then in the early 4 minutes of the game. Steve White couldn't take it, and it's still 0-0. And it was a good ball far side of the field to Scott Sellers. He's faced by David Kerslake. Kerslake does well. Good piece of defensive work, waited his time and intercepted the ball at just the right moment, and setting McLaughlin free with a good ball. Jones outside him, and that's a good sweeping move from Swindon, turning defence into attack. Jones cuts inside, tries a shooting little shot across the ground, but no problem for the Rovers keeper, had it sighted all the way. But Tom Jones not frightened to have a shot. Free kick, foul by Ross McLaren, who has a little word with the referee, and indeed the referee wants to have a little word with Ross McLaren. Free kick to Blackburn Rovers then. So we're in the 10th minute of the match. To the edge of that box, and away by Bowden. Kerslake slice screens across his own goal. Here's Garner, and that's the opening score. Simon Garner for Blackburn Rovers. It was a mistake by David Kerslake. Sliced the ball across the face of his own goal, and Simon Garner 6 yards out. Wanted no second opportunity. Swindon Town 0, Blackburn Rovers 1, 10th minute of the match. Simon Garner, who got a hat-trick against Barnsley earlier in the season, well, he's off the mark already in the 10th minute of the match, and he really is one of the Football League's most lethal marksmen. And any opportunities like that inside the penalty area, he'll gladly accept. Swindon Town 0, Blackburn Rovers 1. And here's Garner once again. Played a long time for Blackburn Rovers, giving them great service. And always seems to do well against Swindon Town, and on that occasion did exceptionally well. Great finish, and they feel it's pretty worthwhile at the moment. Their side lead by 1-0 from Simon Garner. Here's Tom Jones, good ball into that Blackburn penalty area, and in came Steve White onto the header from Shearer, but it was a good punch away from Collier. Tom Jones cross, Shearer's header, and Steve White, well, inches away from finding the net. Foley clattering in from the back on Frank Stapleton. And the referee's whistle is the outcome to that particular one. Foley holds out his arms. It acknowledges the free kick. David Mayle will take this free kick for Blackburn. 19th minute of the game. It's into that Swindon area, and Calderwood goes up, and a penalty's given. Calderwood is holding Andy Kennedy, and referee Hutchinson is going to caution Ross McLaren for dissent over that particular decision. It appeared as though Colin Calderwood was holding Kennedy, and that's why referee Hutchinson immediately pointed to the spot. So Ross McLaren, and there we are, confirmed on the electronic scoreboard. It's a perfect chance now for Blackburn Rovers to get a 2-goal cushion. And it's Andy Kennedy, the man who was impeded inside the box, who will take it. There we go, Andy Kennedy against Digby, and Kennedy wins, although Fraser Digby, very unlucky there, got a touch to it. But it shot underneath his body and into the back of the net, and it's those Blackburn fans who are celebrating once again. In the 19th minute of play, it's Swindon 0, Blackburn 2. It's Kennedy's 4th of the season. He took that penalty well enough, although Fraser Digby can consider himself unlucky. He goes down to Fraser Digby, but a beautiful little ball through from Frank Stapleton, bringing that situation to the fore. Long clearance from Digby, looking for Steve White. Plays a good square ball. Here's Jones. Jones again for Swindon, looking for the head of Shearer. It's all a bit tight and confined in that Blackburn defence. Here's Bowden. Bowden, a long-range effort, half deflected, and really Swindon finding no way through at the moment. And Oliver quite happy just to put the ball into touch for a throw-in. Swindon roaring back then. Here's McLaren. Shearer's header. And appeals for handball again. But once again, referee Hutchinson from Oxford declines the appeals of the Swindon Town attack and fans. And it's just a clearance now for Collier. A clearance, and for the Rovers, they still lead by 2-0. Bowden looking for Shearer. Bowden once again. And it's not going to go out, is it? And Shearer gets a deflection onto that, and it's into the back of the net. Well, an amazing goal. Shearer's 15th of the season, although the linesman has his flag up for some reason. And I believe it was for Steve White being in an offside position. And what's the referee going to do? It was Neil Oliver who waited and waited and waited for that ball to go out. It didn't. He tried to clear it. It was blocked by Shearer, and the goal is given. So, an amazing goal from Duncan Shearer. Oliver's clearance back to his keeper struck Shearer and looped over the top of Collier's head and into the back of the net. Incredible goal, and the linesman had his flag up for Steve White, who was in an offside position, but surely could not have been interfering with play, as Collier had one thing on his mind, and that was to look at the ball as it looped over his head and into the back of the net. Duncan Shearer's 15th of the season, and the Town are back in contention. Swindon Town 1, Blackburn Rovers 2. Good lay off and a great shot from Miller, and he rattles that Swindon bar. Tremendous effort from John Miller. That really was a cracking good shot, and Fraser Digby was well beaten inside that Swindon goal, but John Miller desperately unlucky to see the woodwork come to Swindon's rescue. It's with Kerslake far side. We've had 3 goals already. We could well have had a 4th on that particular occasion. What a cracking game this is now, as Blackburn strike through Simon Garner, and a good save from Digby. Blackburn coming close within the space of seconds. And there's the linesman that gave the offside decision against Steve White, only to be overruled by referee Hutchinson. And Duncan Shearer's goal stood. It's 2-1 to Blackburn Rovers. Goes Fraser Digby, good punch. Blackburn still in possession far side through Sellers. Great challenge, great piece of work by Tom Jones. Here's Shearer. Jones again. Foley, beaten in the air though by Nicky Reid, but it's McLaughlin for Swindon. McLaughlin's cross, Shearer's header, and he was only just inches away from diverting McLaughlin's cross into the back of the net. Kerslake once again finds McLaren. And he does do very well those balls that switches the play, and it's Bowden's cross. Here's a chance for Jones to pull it back. Looking for the head of Duncan Shearer. That's a beautiful header. What a fine goal from Duncan Shearer. From the moment it left his head, it was in the back of the net. Really was an excellent header from Duncan Shearer from a great cross from Tom Jones. His 16th of the season, and it completes an amazing comeback by Swindon. 2 goals down after 20 minutes. Duncan Shearer's struck twice. Swindon Town 2, Blackburn Rovers 2, 5 minutes to half time. Shearer, not much power in the header, just total direction. It looped up, beat the keeper, and found the side netting. Tremendous header. What a great cross from Tom Jones. So Blackburn, who were comfortably in front, suddenly find themselves on the rack a touch. And it'll be Calderwood to take this a free kick for Swindon. And Steve White appeared to be held on the edge of the box. So it's a free kick in a dangerous position. Paul Bowden and Ross McLaren can both strike them from distance for the Town, and it'll be interesting to see which one takes this particular effort. They're both there in close attendance, so is Tom Jones and Steve Foley. So we wait for the Blackburn wall to retreat the 10 yards. It'll be Tom Jones, a short free kick by the looks of things. Paul Bowden is waiting to unleash a shot. Oh my goodness, he unleashed one, didn't he? What a tremendous goal. Collier totally beaten. 2 goals in a minute from Swindon Town, and they totally changed this game around. 3.5 minutes to go to half time. Bowden's 3rd of the season, Swindon's 3rd of the afternoon, and after trailing 2-0 at one stage, they now lead. Swindon Town 3, Blackburn Rovers 2. Tremendous free kick. And a player who's grown in stature over the last few months, Paul Bodin, really does look a bargain at £25,000. That's what previous manager Lou Macari paid for him from Newport County, and he really has matured into an excellent second division fullback. And has struck one of the best shots that you will see all season. And Swindon come looking for another one. Here's Steve White. Couldn't quite catch that particular ball, and it'll be a throw to Blackburn Rovers. Stapleton heads on, only as far as Ross McLaren. Gets a good ball into the box, and Blackburn a little bit hurried in their defensive work. Sellers. Well, it's a bit too tight for 1-2s perhaps in midfield as McLaren snaps at everybody's heels. And indeed gets a free kick. And cries of going up go around the county ground here. A long way to go. This is exactly halfway through the season for Swindon Town. But they're in a healthy position in the league, and 3 points this afternoon, when it looked as though they'd be on the end of a hiding at one stage, would really give them a boost. McLaren to Bodin, who's finding space to get these crosses in, and it's a good one too. Looking far post, here's Jones again, and appeals again for a penalty kick. As referee Hutchinson brings to an end a quite extraordinary first half. Swindon Town going 2 goals down in just 20 minutes. The first from Simon Garner after a defensive mistake by David Kerslake. The second from an Andy Kennedy penalty. But Swindon came storming back. Duncan Shearer's 15th and 16th of the season. And Paul Bodin just a few moments before half-time, getting his 3rd of the season and Swindon's 3rd of the afternoon. Extraordinary 45 minutes. It's bound to be an extraordinary second 45 minutes. The half-time situation on this Boxing Day afternoon. Tremendous festive entertainment for the Swindon public. Swindon Town 3, Blackburn Rovers 2. Well, welcome back after the half-time refreshment, and well, what a difference 10 minutes can make, because before half-time it was as clear as a bell here at the county ground in Swindon. Well, the mist has come swirling in, and things are going to get a little bit tricky, I think, in the second half. Swindon lead by 3 goals to 2. As Blackburn get us underway for the second 45 minutes. But just look at that. That's the way things have deteriorated in less than 10 minutes. Oh, quite extraordinary, really. This game has many of the... And a tremendous shot, and what a brilliant save from Fraser Digby. That really was a cracking save. And it was Garner's effort. First time shot. Giddins deceived in the air. And Fraser Digby, who always produces his best against Blackburn Rovers, certainly did on that occasion. So as the mist descends, 3 minutes into the second half, it's still a 3-2 lead for Swindon Town. Corner kick, far side. Away by Bodin. It's Bodin once again for Swindon over on that far side of the field, which I think is going to become more and more difficult to see at the course of the second half. Another corner to Blackburn. As it really does get thicker and thicker by the moment, doesn't it? It's quite extraordinary, this fog. It's a low cross this time, away again by Bodin. Here's Shearer, good ball. Didn't find Jones, but it found the run of Steve White. But it breaks down as it goes back to Collier in that Blackburn goal. It's a good ball too, and that's a brilliant save again by Fraser Digby from Garner. And poor Simon Garner really He doesn't have any of the luck because he's meeting a keeper at the top of his game. That's Fraser Digby, who's pulled off 2 brilliant saves. Kerslake, well, he tried to nutmeg his opponent on that occasion, didn't work as Blackburn have possession once again. Long crossfield ball, looking for Kennedy. Gets the ball in, away by Calderwood this time. And down goes Digby once again on his 6-yard line. And it's Blackburn Rovers versus Fraser Digby at this moment in time. Don't forget that you can keep in touch with Swindon Town affairs by dialing Swindon Town Club Call 0898 12 16 40. 24-hour-a-day coverage of Swindon Town matters on that number. 0898 12 16 40. Here's Ross McLaren. Shearer lay off, finds McLaughlin far side. As the gloom gets worse and worse, and he looks for Jones with a volley. And it was a good effort on the volley first time. And worth an effort from that distance, but succeeded only in finding the Stratton bank. Bowden. There's Foley, I think, outside him. It's Bowden once again. Stapleton, nice layoff. Sellers for Blackburn Rovers. Good work by him, finds Kennedy far side and he releases Sellers with a good ball. Nice 1-2 between those two, and out comes Digby. It took a nasty skip off the pitch and off his chest he clears it, but Swindon getting themselves in a little bit of a tangle there, and Digby under pressure from Garner did well. Steve White. Jones near side, plays the ball for Ross McLaren, who sweeps it into the dark and distant mists, and I believe gives a throw to Blackburn Rovers. And the Rovers are going to make a substitution here. The very dangerous Howard Gale is going to take the field, I do believe, and John Miller is going to go off. And Howard Gale, confirmation over the Tannoy system that the former Liverpool player is now on the field for Blackburn Rovers. John Miller, who rattled the Swindon bar earlier on, you will recall, he's the man who's been replaced. Here's McLaren. It's well taken by Jones, or was it Kerslake? And Kerslake appears to have been rather harshly dealt with on that occasion by Scott Sellers, and the referee from Oxford, Mr. Hutchinson, believes that was also the case, and Swindon have a free kick in a dangerous position, bearing in mind the quality of Tom Jones' cross this afternoon. One of them led to the second goal, a looping header from Duncan Shearer. It's been a feature of Swindon's play this season, the crossing from either left or right hand side of the field, and that's one particular aspect that manager Ozzy Ardiles is well pleased with. But this time it's a low one in from Jones. Back to Kerslake, who crosses into the far post, and quite what happens to it from then on is anybody's guess. Good throw taken by Kerslake. Kerslake handball. Sellers then with his free kick has Chris Sully just inside him, and in fact leaves it for the Blackburn number 3. Swings the ball in. Swindon's defence trying to get that ball away. It's blocked by Gittins, who goes down. Jones, and does well, does Tom Jones. Clears the Swindon lines and finds White. White back to Jones. Beats Howard Gale, but Sully intercepts the ball through. Here's Sellers. And chance for Garner to cross in. It's a good ball too. Looking back, and there's Howard Gale. The Blackburn Rovers substitute comes up trumps and puts the Lancashire side level. The ball was played in from Simon Garner. It was headed back at the far post, and there was Howard Gale to knock the ball into the back of the net. And what a fine substitution by manager Don Mackay, because it brings Blackburn level. Swindon Town 3, Blackburn Rovers 3. So Howard Gale, once of Liverpool, a promising player when he was at Anfield, but now at Blackburn Rovers. And what a fine substitution it's been. He's brought the Lancashire side back into the game. And I believe it was Sellers at the far post who knocked the ball back in. But obviously, in the conditions out there, it's not quite easy to tell. And in fact, for all I know, it might have been the policeman behind the goal. It's now with the Blackburn defence, and back to Darren Collier. Gittins with a header, but Blackburn have possession. And once again, it was Simon Garner with a header, which cleared the town bar. Ross McLaren. Long ball forward. And here's Tom Jones. Chance to put another of those crosses in, and does so. Ball loops up into the air. What a great ball too on the break, and here's a chance for Sellers to run at that Swindon defence. And a great piece of defensive work by John Gittins. Of the half-hour mark in this second half, it's 3-3. Scott Sellers with this corner kick for Blackburn Rovers. Solly's cross in, and out comes Fraser Digby. Does well under pressure, and indeed the referee blows for a free kick, but he did well, the town keeper. And ball against Chris Sully, free kick to Swindon then, just inside the Blackburn half. Here's Jones once again, will try a shot, it's half blocked. Kerslake. Well, says the referee, does well, does Kerslake. Good ball into the box too, it's looping up into the air, could go anywhere here. Comes to Foley. Foley hits it, and that's the fourth goal for Swindon this afternoon. Steve Foley latches onto the ball through the gloom and the mist, and off the body of Collier finds the back of the net. His first goal of the season, Steve Foley, since returning from injury. And what an important one it could be. It puts Swindon back into the lead. And with just 14 minutes to go, it could be quite a successful first goal of the season for Steve Foley. Swindon 4-3 up then against their Lancashire rivals. Good work by David Kerslake down this right-hand side. And that's what he's been good at since his arrival from Queen's Park Rangers. Solly then for Rovers, pumps that ball into Swindon territory. It's a good ball too. As Digby will have to be alert at his near post. It's away by Gittins. Here's Jones. That's the way things look. The lights shining brightly throughout the gloom here. Not aiding vision on the pitch really though. But we are just 9 minutes away now from the final whistle. And if anything, the mist has lifted just a fraction. Quite extraordinary the way it came down in the second half though. It's a far post free kick which loops up, and Fraser Digby does well once again to turn the ball over. What a great game he's had, Fraser Digby. Conceded 3, but none of them could be regarded as mistakes by him. And really, he's done his utmost to keep the score down. Corner kick then for Blackburn. There he is again. Inspiring game he's having this afternoon. Swindon in midfield, snapping away at the old heels there. McLaren bundled to the ground. Free kick. And off goes David Kerslake to be replaced by John Cornwall. Cornwall with that blonde head of hair, he's not too difficult to distinguish even in this fog. The referee looks at his watch. We're approaching the final whistle, and I dare say as soon as that 45-minute mark is reached, then he'll bring this game to a conclusion. Checks with both linesmen, who appear to be signalling that that mark has now been reached. One last chance perhaps for Blackburn to level things up. Low cross into that town box, away by Cornwall. And the referee brings proceedings to a halt. Swindon Town have taken the 3 points on offer on this Boxing Day afternoon. 2 goals down, they went earlier on to Simon Garner and Andy Kennedy from the penalty spot, but a storming first half revival saw them lead 3-2 at half time. 2 from Duncan Shearer and 1 from Paul Bodin. Howard Gale, the second half substitute for Blackburn, levelled things up, but Steve Foley with his first goal of the season brings the 3 points to the county ground after what has been an absorbing second division fixture. In the first half of the 5 goals and the football on offer in the second, to see whether we'd actually see the climax of the match due to the fog. But good entertainment for the 8,000 people here this afternoon to watch it. And Swindon Town do their promotion hopes a power of good by overcoming their rivals Blackburn Rovers here by 4 goals to 3. This is Vic Morgan of BBC Wiltshire Sound saying, hope you've enjoyed the game and a Merry Christmas.
The lads obviously trying to look to put it back the keeper, and as I said, Steve White's blocked the keeper, so there's only one way he could have came, and that was inside, you know, and I just wanted to get a block on the tackle to stop it, and it's come off my foot with a bit of power and lift, and lucky for me it went in.
Extraordinary first half, I think you can say.
Oh, definitely, yeah. Quite unbelievable, because the goals were coming from everywhere. We were 2-0 down before we knew it, and we thought, oh, you know, maybe a bit too much to eat in the Christmas time. But once we got into our stride and that, and as I say, we got a lucky break for the first goal, and then we got the equaliser, and then before we knew it, we were in front, and we came out in the second half, and well, you can have a see the pitch.
I was going to say, it's pretty awful up top at North Stand. Yeah. What was it like on the field?
Well, it was. You could always see each keeper, which was, you know, from either side, which I think that's where if he was looking at, you know, and fair play to him to let it go for as long as he could. I've seen him, he kept looking at his watch, but as I say, he's done well for us.
I was going to say, I thought the referee had an excellent game considering.
Yeah, it was there was a lot of iffy butts decisions and that, like, you know, but I think on the whole he was more or less right with most of them, you know, so that's it.
And Fraser Digby pulled off several excellent saves.
For me, man of the match today. Absolutely tremendous, some of the saves he pulled off today, like, you know, and very pleased.
What an extraordinary first half of that goal.
Well, yeah, I thought we started off quite well, but we seemed to, give them two goals on the plate. You obviously can't afford to give any side that, and Blackburn an attacking side, and as they proved, they scored a few goals today.
What's the problem defensively in the first few minutes?
Well, it's hard to put your finger on it. I mean, I headed the first one out to the edge of the box. Dave Kersley tried to volley it away, just miscued it, went straight to Garner, and he volleyed it home.
Any complaints about the penalty?
Well, yeah, Fridge feels strongly that it wasn't a penalty, and to be honest, I didn't think it was a penalty. But I mean, the referee makes a decision, and he sticks by it.
So you got the 4-3 victory, and in pretty trying circumstances, I think it's fair to say.
Yes, in the second half when we came out, we were surprised to see as much fog had come down. And at one time, I thought it was going to be called off. To be honest, the referee kept consulting his linesman, but luckily the game went ahead, and we got the 3 points we really wanted.
What was it like at pitch level?
I mean, it wasn't as bad as, you know, their fans were shouting, you know, off, but they're obviously going to do that when they're 3-2 down. But, you know, as I say, I'm glad that the game, you know, carried on and we've got the 3 points.
And it gives you a little cushion between you and the side who were below them, that was Blackburn Rovers.
That's right, it puts us 4 points ahead now, I think. So hopefully we go into Saturday's game now, you know, build on, get a bit of confidence and see if we can beat Newcastle.